as you more you're learning and the more you're educating yourself, you become more efficient at what you're doing.
Yes.
And it's not about how busy you are, it's about how productive you are. You know, some people spend too much time being busy and they forget how to be productive. You know, and honestly, you know, being and being busy, I forgot where I read this from. Maybe it was Tim Ferriss. But being busy is a form of laziness, meaning that like you're just simply occupying yourself with tasks and activities that are not necessarily mean that you're being productive. Most of the time, you're just distracting yourself from important goals that you should be doing in the first place. You avoid deep thinking and planning that is required to achieve those significant goals.
Yeah.
And you're just doing superficial bullshit. You're doing superficial activities. So there's a big difference between being busy and being productive.
Listen, if you all like the intro and the outro tunes we have, that's epidemic sound. That's epidemic sound. Bless up to them. Yo, B. Yo, I love when B and I get to rock. This got me a thing with this.
Dude, I'm telling you pregame, man, no matter how rough my Tuesdays are or how much work and not a lot of sleep I'm getting or BS is going on, I look forward to Tuesday nights, 7 o'clock, 6:45, 7 o'clock, and we can start spitting some knowledge bombs out there. Hopefully knowledge bombs. Some people might think we're complete full of shit, but then again, they're probably not listening. So bless up.
Bless up to them. Hey man, listen,
but it just gives me like so much energy, and I just feel good afterwards, and I'm just keep motivating. It's our dharma, man. It's our dharma, baby.
Yay! Yes, it is, bro. We 5,000 strong on IG. Thank you for all that have joined and following us.
Thank you,
brother. We're coming up on the 700 on YT on YouTube.
Yeah.
And listen, peoples, if you have yet to see like the Habit series, and if you have yet to see like I think I would call it the Soul series, because we got Neil Donald Walsh, then we had Alona. Yo, bro, we coming with the soul, bro.
Yeah. I'm excited for 2025. Once the holidays end, I'm gonna reach out. We're gonna reach out to a lot of people. We're gonna try to get some good people on the show to interview. So I'm excited about that. 2025 is gonna be a great year. I'm pumped.
Yes, indeed, man. Yes, indeed. For all those joining us, welcome to this More Than Black or White Health podcast. We are your hosts, Brian and Paul. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. This podcast is for those that are looking to be an advocate for their own health and well-being. So B and I are here to give you the real goody goods and the galactic goodness to bring you the stuff that you get to know about to help you get to that next level. And what we got today is on the career well-being side. Now, this topic today, I'm going to be asking B questions because I want to know, because this dude, in my judgment, has got this and overcome this. What's that, Paul? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's how to balance, and we even got a banner for this, right? If you're someone, and we talked about having like making your side gig your passion, right? Turning your passion into something bigger. So now, if you're someone that's got a full-time job, you got a side hustle, you're feeling run down, shabam, this episode is for you. Right, B?
That's it, man. That's it. Yeah, I'm excited about this. This is I love talking about how to create things, especially businesses. I like interviewing people that I want to be at their level, or just even like talking business. Like I was in a conversation with a guy at the gym the other day. He's like, "Yeah, I'm looking to buy a car business or a car dealership." I'm like, "Oh, tell me a little bit about it." Like, just interested. Sat like for an hour. Like we were talking about like, and there's so many things about like, you know, the car business I had no idea about. And he wants to buy like a dealership, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." I was like, you know, if you're ever in the need for like a silent partner or anything like that, you know, think about me. You know, maybe we'll work together. At this point in my life, it's like you just want to work with good people. That's it. That's it. Even it's not all about the money. The money will come if you just work with good people and you surround yourself with good people. But but getting to my point, like I love talking about this. I'm passionate about it. I love learning. I'm in entrepreneurial groups. I fly to seminars. I just try to learn from the best out there, or people who are at a point where I want to be. So I like that.
And bro, one of the things I've always adored about you, man, is you're always open to sharing your knowledge and wisdom, bro.
You have to, man.
Well, that's not true, because it's a choice, because there's some people out there that
I have to, I should say.
Yeah, well, yes, because bro, that's your heart, man. That's your space. That's your energy. Like, you love to share, and behind that, I see that you want other people to win and succeed.
Absolutely. You know, when you try to hog all the information that you learn because you're worried about somebody competing with you, that's a mentality of scarcity, and that's like almost like you're lowering your vibration. You're attracting scarcity to you. I want to share everything. I want to see people do better than me. I want to see, like, I don't care, man. Like, do something. Do better.
Something,
beat me, because if you beat me, you're teaching me something, and I'm going to learn from you. Then
bro.
Then I'm gonna be like, all right, let's go out and get some coffee, let's get some lunch, and tell me what you're doing different than me. It's how we up level everyone.
That's it, bro. Look, you know what this reminds me of is, like, when I used to wrestle, right? I remember my first couple of years, I was wrestling with, I was in the practice, I was wrestling with schlubs. Like, no disrespect, but I say schlub because I was a schlub too. I was just, like, learning the game, right? I was learning how to wrestle and shit. Like, I think I knew the amount of every single light in the gymnasium because I was pinned like every month. So the summer, right? That summer, I remember I went to this camp called Eclipse, right? It was this local wrestling camp. And I wrestled these guys that were better than me and got my ass handed to me. I mean, like, seriously, I know there was a couple sessions I came home, I was like, what the I came home, like, I was distraught, crying. I was like, what the dick? But then, like, bro, over time, like, I'm like, oh shit, I'm competing with these guys. Then when it came to my junior and senior year, I was whooping ass.
Yeah.
Why am I saying that? Because listen, when you're around an environment that makes you better, you become better. And then you push that person to get better, and then they push you, and it's a constant up level.
Yeah. It's not about winning. It's just being better than you were the day before, the month before. It's funny. I have a similar story. I remember when I was like 22, I started getting into jiu-jitsu. And I remember, like, I had a wrestling background. I remember, like, my first day in there, they put me against a guy who was probably like 250 pounds. And at the time I was 200, but the guy was like, a fish out of water. And I'm throwing this guy around, just tossing him, just like submitting him and everything like that. I'm like, oh man, this sport is easy.
Yeah.
So the head guy, the guy comes over and he's like, all right, we're going to put you with somebody a little better. And I'm looking around like, that was the biggest guy in the gym, biggest guy here. I'm like, this guy comes up on the mat. What do you say? He was a guy. He was like probably 2 years younger. I think he was like 20. He wasn't even old enough to drink. 20-year-old kid. I think he was like around 155 or something like that, 160. So I had a good 50 pounds on him almost. There wasn't like 10 seconds that went by where I wasn't airborne or on my back. He beat the shit out of me. But I remember I was like, I love this sport because it doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter where you start from. Like, you can always get to that level. And it's kind of like, it's almost like business. You can start at the rock bottom. You can kind of build your way up to anything. But it got to a point where it's like, all right, I want to wrestle this guy at least once a month. I want to take him out and kind of wrestle him. And my goal is to, instead of submitting 5 times in 10 minutes, I want to submit maybe 4 times going. Then I want to submit maybe 3 times. And I want to get to a point where it's almost like, it's almost like a chess match. But that's the point. You can't concentrate just on winning. It's about learning as you're going and evolving and bettering yourself a little bit each time.
Hands down, bro. And I think that fits right in line with what we're going to talk about today, bro. Because listen, the full-time job I see is like, all right, like the standard situation, right? Like me wrestling with the schlubs, and then you whooping that dude's ass that had like a fish out of water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then when we add in the side hustle, then that's when the learning comes, because from what I've recognized is like there's a balancing of making sure I still fulfill my obligations for my full-time gig, and then also trying to build my side hustle.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is though, is that like, okay, working my side hustle can help me get new skills, but something that I'm finding, especially when I keep up leveling, is, dude, I like, especially like around this time of the year, I can get burned out, bro.
Yeah.
I can get burned out.
Yep.
So, and I know that there's other people that experience the same thing, and they can go two different directions. Like they can quit or be like, this is too much. Or it's like, okay, they find a way to get through. But a lot of times people that find a way to get through, they may just be like still like scraping through, bro. And like, I gotta get through this. Trudging. So I want to talk today about, like, for those cats that are out here that are in that situation, like you've been in, that I'm in. I want to chop it up and like really tap into you and check in on what are the things that you have done when you had your full job and started building up your Amazon business and started to and really address the burnout.
Yeah, before we get into that, I think it's important to kind of talk about like why, even if you don't want a side business right now, why do you want to have a plan B? Like, what's the point?
Okay.
And it was interesting. Like I was listening to Andrew Tate this morning, and he had like a short coming through. Depending on if you like him or not, he's a little extreme sometimes for me, but a lot of times he makes good sense. He's like, listen, man, back in the 1950s, a guy can work at a factory, afford 2 cars, a house, and send his kids to school, no problem. Now we're at a state where like both parents are working full-time jobs with degrees, and they can't afford, they're in debt and they can't afford to have kids for a lot of these people. So it's like times are changing. And then we talked about, I think, the last episode where it was like, which is even more important, I think, or just as equally as important, is the dollar in our country. It's half over the last 5 years with inflation and the hurdle rate and everything like that. Our half life of a dollar is almost 10 and a half years. So basically, if you're making $100,000 right now, in 10 years from now, that $100,000 is going to feel like $50,000. So you add in like the inflation every year. I mean, how many people are getting raises? Not too many. They're getting, like, if anything, they're cutting back on a lot of things, or they're going into more commission based, and they're getting harder and harder to hit your commission goals. You know what I mean? Because corporations are trying to save money, or not even corporations, like anything like private or whatever like that. So if you're making $100,000 right now, you better hope in 10 years you're making a minimum $200,000 just to keep up with your lifestyle. And most of us are not going to be able to do that. Most companies are not going to be able to make that happen for you. So either you got to downsize or like live really strict, or you need to find another job. So you can either find another job working for somebody else, or you can start learning tools right now and have a job that you're your own boss. And hopefully you can fire your first job and work for yourself the whole time. That's the goal. So it's like it's not a matter of it's not a matter of like how I'm gonna do it, or what should I do, or I'm not gonna need it. It's like when will you need it? When will you need that plan B just to get by? So I think it's important you to start thinking about that and having those wheels turn. So it's not, the way everything is working now, it's not that great.
Dude, man, I mean, bro, you said some things that really hit me when you talked about where $100,000 will be in 10 years. Bro, I'm fascinated by this, man. I'm always fascinated by inflation and how things are so much different now than they were, and they'll continue to change. Like you said, and like you heard from Andrew Tate, like our parents could have got so much more for for a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Interest rates, how much they bought houses for. Like, man, damn, man, my dad came from Jamaica and he busted his ass like 3 jobs, man. My mom saved and they were able to buy a 4-family house back in the freaking early 70s. Then buy a single family house. And bro, it's like now bro, you got to have 2 people working, like you said, plus a roommate. Plus, you got to be working DoorDash and like a Uber.
Yeah.
And I want to get into those type of side hustles too, because I think the side hustle you're talking about is a little bit different than those type of side hustles. So yeah, I'm thank you for pausing. Let's coming back to that.
Yeah.
So be like for example, for you, like when did you realize that? When was like the activation for you when you understood those numbers? Like what was that experience like for you? And then what was your next step after that?
Well, I think I mentioned on the show before, like I was working at corporate America. I was working for Lifetime. I was in, middle management. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to climb the corporate ladder because this is what I like doing and blah, blah, blah.
This is
But I
when you
remember,
just came back from Florida, right?
yeah, right when I came back from Florida,
Yeah.
I started getting into management there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was excited about it, but I also at the same time, after about maybe a year doing it, man, I just got like this feeling in me, like I was getting depressed, and I've never had depression in my life. I was like, I mean, at the time I had a great girlfriend. I was making, a lifetime. I was making 100,000 a year, maybe a little less, like the 80 or 90 or 100, whatever it was, with bonuses. So wasn't doing bad. It was like more money than I was ever making in my life at that point.
Yeah.
But it was just like something was missing in me, man. I was like, I need to be doing more. I need more out of my life. Like I'm not satisfied. And I'm not poking at anybody that's in middle management. That some people love to work for companies. I don't. I just don't. I'd rather work for myself. I just feel like I'm accomplishing something more. It just hits me a little differently.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I was like, oh man, like this is not what I want to do. Then I took Paul Chek's PPS course, personal professional.
That's your boy, Paul
That's
Chek.
my boy, man.
Yeah,
And it basically was like, it was like goal setting, but I drew out my goals and I realized, long story short, I don't want to, but it was like basically like,
make that long, bro. It's all good. We got time.
but it was like, all right, it's like, so, all right. So like, I was goal setting, like, what do you want? So if I ask somebody like, hey, like, what do you want out of life? Most people are like, oh, I just want to be happy. I just want to have a little bit of money here, but that's not really specific goal setting. So he made me go really into specific goal setting, like, where do you want to live? Well, like what type of climate do you want to be around? What type of people do you want in your life? What kind of characteristics and traits do you look into those people that can help you get that? How much money do you need to make every single year for you to be happy? And I was looking at like 4 vacations a year, paying for my mortgage and all this other stuff. And I was surprised. It only came out to be about $250,000 for me to be everything I wanted. And actually, I even threw in take my friends on a private jet one time. And I threw in there just like, hey, look at the hell, I think it'd be kind of cool. But everything came out to like $250,000. I was like, and I broke it down. I was like, $20,000 a month. Like, I can fucking do that. Like, it's gonna take me a while, but I can do that. And I got excited about it. And and I'm busting my ass over a lifetime, working 70, 80, 90 hours a week. Bringing home, 10,000 or less than or $8,000 a month. So I'm not even like, half of that, or 1.5 times that. But it was like, and I was just like, all right, I can do this. So I really started like reading business books. And I was like, and then one of the things at Lifetime too is like, you train a lot of wealthy people. Like I was training millionaires. I was actually training 2 billionaires. I had 2 clients that were on the New York Stock Exchange ringing the bell in the morning. Like these guys are high up people. And I'm looking at these guys. I'm not saying they're not intelligent, but I was like, they're not that much more intelligent than I am. And some of these people, I'm like, there's no way I can't do what this guy's doing. There was a couple of people, and I was like, but it motivated me. I looked at it, but every single one had a common denominator: is how they looked at money. I was looking at money at the time like it was really tough to work to make money. You have to work really hard to make money. I'm not saying you don't, but it's like you just have to put the time in order to make money.
Yeah.
But these people, like, it was their mindset, like, oh yeah, money comes easy. And until I started programming my subconscious with that, like, oh yeah, money's going to come to me, blah, blah, blah. And like, I feel it and like, good. That's when everything started changing, was when I started putting that out in the universe. And and applying action to it, and reading books and going to seminars and putting myself in situations where I would go into a seminar, there'd be 100 people there with $1,000 suits, and I'm sitting there with my jeans and my t-shirt from Kohl's. I'm like definitely the poorest person in there, but I didn't give a shit. Like I was like, I don't care. Like, if you're going to judge me based on my clothes, that was my mindset. If you can judge me based on my clothes, you don't fit in that goal setting thing that I did with the type of people I want to work with. So it was almost like a filter as well too. So
I get that.
That's when I really started getting into it. When I started feeling like depressed, and I felt like, man, I'm wasting my life, man. I have certain attributes that I'm letting go to waste. And it was like my soul, my guardian angels were like, dude, let's fucking do something, man. Stop wasting your life. Let's do something. And I really got into I was starting to get into meditation a couple of years before that. So I was a little bit more in tune than I normally was before that. But that's when I really started, and that's how the snowball started coming into effect. And then I started reading more books. I had one of my clients. He was kind of in the same shoes as me, and he's successful at still what he does. And we decided to be business partners, and my boy John, and man, it was,
the rest is history.
Yeah. So we're working now. Yeah.
He was a client. He was a client.
He was a client. Yeah. That's how I met him. We just clicked right away. And I remember he's like, hey, let's go. Let's start this business together. And I'm like, John, man, it's like, listen, first of all, you're my client. I don't like to mix business with business on top of that, because I was trying to make money and I don't want to lose a client with that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And I was like, listen, man, I've had so many shitty partners in my life that just dick me over, or I'm the type of person when I usually go into a business with somebody, I'm doing 99% of the work, because that's just the way I'm always working. I'm always doing majority of the work. And it's just but I remember the first meeting we showed up, he had spreadsheets, he had his computer, he had books, and I'm like, this is my dog, man. This is my boy. This is going to work. I was pumped, I was blown away. So it was everything we've touched since. And he has kind of the same mentality as much. We'll both figure it out. We'll figure it out. No matter what happens, we'll figure it out. We keep hustling, we keep working, and he's good at working in the business. I'm good working on the business, and we just complement each other really well. And we've done good. We've done good.
So I want to recap some things, because there was a lot in there I want to highlight to the people watching. So one of the key things I took out several key things that I'm going to go over real quick. So the environment. Right. The environment was key. That was one of the things I heard, because when you put yourself in the environment, whether it was that mastermind or with the environment, or even people, when you put your environment with around people that have done it already, it's is it osmosis? It's basically you can start to ask questions. You can start to gather that knowledge that they have. And before you know it, you're learning a lot of stuff, man. Because I find that when the clients that I had that are very successful, they're always willing to share knowledge.
Yeah.
Always. I remember I was working with this guy, and he was a bigwig at Bed Bath & Beyond for years, man. And I would train him early in the morning. I was going through a really tough time. I was going through my separation. There would be sometimes I missed a session. I was like, fuck. And I remember he sat me down and he was like, hey man, let's go have a coffee. And I was like, all right. And he just broke some stuff down for me, because he went through divorce. He went through a lot of stuff. He built his way back up, and he was dropping gems on me. And it was uncomfortable at first for me to hear it, because I was like, oh man, I'm in shame. I got over that junk real quick, man, because I was like, hold up. This dude is dropping gems because he wants to see me win, bro. And he sees something in me that he experienced. So I bring up this environment piece, because if you got a full-time gig and you got a side hustle, start getting around people that have successful side hustles that they made into something bigger. Because guess what? They're going to drop some gems on you. You're going to be like, oh, junk, I never thought about that. Let me write that down. Now, that's the environment. That's the one piece. The second piece I heard in what you said, B, is the belief. when you realize like, oh my goodness, like these people, like, you know, listen, I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to have that in you.
You got to.
Even if you don't think you can, you got to program your mind to know that you can. Whatever tricks that you can program your mind into thinking that, like I was like, man, I'd never made more than like, six figures in my life. And I was like, dude, I want to make $10 million one year. Like, I
Yep.
can fucking do it. Like, I can do it. I know I can do it. I'm just going to outwork everyone. I can, that's my thing. Like, I'm very disciplined. I can outwork anybody. Have the mindset, like, I'm ready to learn. Like, it might not be in 5 years from 10 years, but I will definitely make, $10 million. My goal is to make 8 figures in 1 year. So, like, you just got to program your mind. It's like auto suggestion with the pulling hill, right? But
Always, bro. Always. So this brings me to something else, right, B? Because it's the belief, but also the perspective. Because I heard you say something when you were talking about the clients that were affluent. You talked about how they look at money, right? So like so I want to go. There's a way I want to go with that, but first I want to check in with you. When you were tapped in with them, and then you realize like, oh, junk, like how they perceive money. How was the way that they perceive money? Well, what was their perception of money, and how is it different than yours at the time?
yeah, I was very like, so like they would be like, for example, like, oh yeah, next year I'm gonna probably leave my job and I'm gonna make X amount of money and I'm gonna travel the world. And I'm like, oh, it's like, that's cool that you have that. He's like, yeah, nothing's set in place yet, but I'm gonna make that money this year. It's like they didn't even like think twice about it. They just like kind of like almost like they manifested it, like they knew it was gonna happen. He's like, it's not that hard. I'll just start this business and then I'll sell this after a year. I'll get it up to this amount of money and I'll sell it and it'll be like this and it'll be fine. Where my mindset was like, man, I was like, at the time I was like, almost like I was because I grew up poor. I grew up not with not a lot of money. I saw my mom struggle a lot, so and I saw her work like 100 hours a week. I'm not even kidding you, literally 100 hours a week, 15 hours a day for 7 days a week. She did for 19 years, and she was always getting by, paycheck to paycheck. And so my mindset growing up was like, I have to work hard. I have to work those type of hours in order for me to survive. It was like kind of instilled in me. Even like I'm getting better. Like the last year, like even the last year, like I made great money last year, but I still like if somebody called me up and like, hey, I know it's your day off. You want to do a training session? I would be like, yeah, yeah. It's like, all right, like I need the X amount of money. Like it's hard for me to turn down money. Now I'm like, last 6 months, I'm like, no, man, it's my day off. Sorry. It's like maybe here's my schedule now. If you can work in these slots, great. If not, I can set you up with somebody else. That's my mentality now. And I know when I do that, when I set those boundaries, it motivates me. Not that it motivates me more, but it gives me like an extra charge where it's like more energy to do other stuff. And you can use it in different ways. You can be like, oh man, I just lost $100 for that session or $200 for that session. Now I got to like spend an hour or two at the computer trying to get that much closer to my goal, trying to work on something or read something. So it's like I'm balancing something out. It's not like I'm just like, oh no, I'm not going to train you. I'm just going to sit home and binge watch Netflix, It's like, all right, I lost X amount of money here. Now I need to gain that X amount of education.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's I don't know what the question was you asked, but
no, you just went rambling, man. Damn, pay attention. No, you answered it. It was like basically like what was their perception, right?
Yeah.
Their perception was like you said, like money comes easy. Like their perception was even if they didn't have what I heard you say is that even if they failed to have the plan, it was still like, yo, it's happened already. I just the money. So and that's where I wanted to go with this, right? Because I think when I'm going to speak from my experience and tell me, and I'm going to go from that. But I know for me, until I really started looking at what I do on the side, like, and specifically like whether it's coaching, mentoring, like facilitation, all that stuff, I'm looking back on it, B, I saw it as more of a hobby than a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have my full-time job. So that was my job. And my side hustle was like, yo, man, that's what I do, man. It's like, I was like laissez-faire and shit. It wasn't until I started looking at like, well, wow, man, okay, what are the steps I get to take so that what I do on the side becomes my full time. Like I'm making what I make there plus more, right? So then my mindset started to change. Well, like, well, if I like, well, I can't keep doing things this way. I can't keep doing things this way. So I say this because I think a lot of I judge a good amount of people when it comes to side hustle, they see it as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious for you, like, especially when it comes to the burnout piece, because I want to start getting into that piece because that's real. How do you see the perception of a side hustle contributing to burnout?
Yeah. I mean, you watch all these guys like on like, I mean, for example, like I'm a Dana White fan. I like Dana White. He just tells it like it is. I love Dana White, but he had something on there the other day where he was like, it was something like people come up to him and be like, "Oh, I want to work for myself. I want to make my own hours. You know, I want to make some extra money, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna travel the world like you do, or whatever it is." And Dana White's like, "Dude, you have no fucking clue what it's like to work for yourself. I mean, you're spending out hundreds of hours. People are coming after you, trying to take everything you have. There is no Christmas, there is no Easter, and you just got to work every single day. And not just Dana White, but like other people out there on social media, like you got to work every single day, 15, 20 hours a day, blah, 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 blah." That's just crazy, man. Like you can't maintain that. You can't maintain that. The first thing you need to do if you want to start a side hustle is you need to take self-care has got to be your foundation. It's got to be. If you're not willing to take care of yourself, eventually you're not going to be willing to take care of your business efficiently, and you can start doing shortcuts. That's the biggest thing. Like, and I'm almost like, I really shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Say
like,
it.
How many fat, successful entrepreneur do you know?
Damn, I wish you didn't say this. No, I'm just playing. Well, there's a lot. There's a lot, bro.
Okay, all right. Well, my thing is like it's very. I was going to say is not that many, because sooner or later, okay. But like, are they successful, or are they just like on social media? Oh, so you're saying what? So you're saying they're not successful?
I don't think they're successful at all, bro.
Oh, okay. I thought you said they are. There's a lot of successful fat entrepreneur people.
Yeah. So just to clear this up, right? So what I see, so I would say, okay, I'm not gonna say the majority, but
there is some people, absolutely.
Right. Like I see people that claim to be successful.
Yeah.
A little soft,
and
they're really not. Like they end up, it's a whole shammy sham, and those are the ones.
And I'm not talking 20-25% body fat. I'm talking people that are like obese, pre-diabetic. It's very hard because you need to wake up early. You need sometimes to do longer hours. You need to think clearly. You need to have energy. You need to, present yourself in front of people, and that you have to be healthy. Otherwise, you just have so many like toxins all over your body. Your sleep is shit. And you have to take care of yourself. You have to start eating clean for the majority. You have to start drinking clean water, having good mental mindfulness going on in your life. You need to have good sleep hygiene. If you don't have those things, like you're not going to succeed in this business. You're going to burn out. Because it's like you're just basically, most people are running around in sympathetic overload, too much cortisol. Now you want to add a side hustle in to overtake your main job. And if you already had that sympathetic overload, chances are you're probably a little bit on the chubby side, or you're a little bit obese, and now you're trying to add more in. That's very tough to do. That's very tough to do. I would say personally, like I would tell anybody, like, I do those four things first, man. Work on your sleep, work on your mindfulness, work on your drinking clean water, and work on your food. And those, set that foundation, get that going first, because that's everything, man. That's everything. And then start working on your business.
So B, there's like, so I want to address something, right? Because like when we talk about those people that like are obese, business owners, right? So they've turned that corner. Like some of the ones that I've worked with in the past, that ended up getting on the right track, when I work with them, it was overcoming the belief that they have to put the work in to survive. And while I didn't want to disrupt that perspective, I had to figure out what are the ways I can rewire them to understand that you staying hydrated, you getting a proper amount of sleep, you getting the right foods in your body will help you be more productive. You
Yeah.
eat a bunch of ho-hos, that freaking processed sugar is going to spike your shit. You're going to be lethargic. Your brain processes are going to be completely they're going to be slow. You're going to be
Yeah.
free of really like thinking on the fly and creating new spaces and opportunities. You're most likely going to be yawning in front of clients and what have you.
You're
So
gonna have negative thoughts.
negative thoughts, man. Your body's going to be just like it will fail you. And
Yeah.
I've seen some of these, and like it's interesting because I work with the guy, a very successful man, family man. And like, when we started working together, it was frustrating because I was like, damn, bro, like you're a good dude. And I know you work hard. I want you to take better care of yourself though.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, he'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't work out. I got to work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, man. And it wasn't until he had a heart attack that he was like, all right, I'm going to need to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, he slipped right back into that old shit. So this is what I think is a major dilemma, because while we're saying like, yo, you gotta work hard and do these things to build your business, I'm curious for you, like in that, in balancing like building something, you working full time, which we're talking about, and then have nutrition. Talk to me about how important time management is with all this in regards to avoiding burnout. Well, how important it's been for you, man, because I know you're very particular with your time.
Yeah. I don't really suffer from low energy too much.
Yeah,
I'm pretty good because my diet, my lifestyle, my meditation's always there.
yeah.
Um, but I do in the beginning, what I did find myself doing was skipping a lot of workouts to
Mm,
try to get my work done. And because I was like almost like psychotic in a way where I was like, I gotta get this done, I gotta get this done. And I was just sacrificing self-care. That's why I say like
yeah,
it wasn't until I started like, all right, listen, man, like I'm not as creative anymore. I'm starting to get sick a little bit more. Like, because I was just sympathetic. And before, like, I'm not saying like at all, like fat people can't be successful or
right,
people that are weight can't be successful. I'm just saying you're setting yourself up for a steep drop because
yeah,
most people are, if you're overweight or you have high body fat, you're in a sympathetic state. And now you're creating more stress on the body and
mm,
it's gonna you're gonna break down. That's what I'm saying. It's like try to like work on yourself first. But it wasn't like I had to set. Well, going back to like I had time management. Like I set clear things in them every day. Like I
mm,
mean, just time. Like for example, every morning I'm up at 5:30,
yeah,
sometimes a little earlier, and I work from basically 5:30 to about 9ish. Sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little later, depending if I have clients throughout the day or calls. But I set like a 3 hour window in the morning where I'm doing 3 hours worth of stuff. Whether
mm,
I'm, working on Instagram, where I'm learning how to use Chat GPT a little better, or where I'm reading like law because I'm trying to sign like a contract, and I'm like, all right, what's these law? Just like anything, I'm trying to learn as much as I possibly can. I'm
yeah,
reading books, I'm meditating, I'm sitting in silence for like 15, 20 minutes. I'm doing all these things, and that's every day of my life. And the night before, I write out something. Here's the 3 things I want to get done, and I do those things first thing in the morning, and I get those
yeah,
done. And I train a couple clients, I come back, I, sit in front of my computer or I answer emails throughout the day and I just kind of go from there and I kind of sprinkle the rest in whatever needs to be
yeah,
done. But it's like
mm,
3 main hours, I kind of block it out in the morning. That's a non-negotiable.
yeah,
And it's like
mm,
no matter where I am, like I'm like crazy about it. Like we're going to in 2 weeks, we're going to St. John's for a week. We're going with the kid. Our flight leaves at 7 o'clock. I got to be up at 4 o'clock. I'm setting my alarm clock for 2 o'clock. I'm going to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 hours before everyone else, and I'm going to get work done. So
yes,
I don't miss that. Then when I'm at the airport, I'm going to do it a little more work, and I'm going to read a little bit while I'm on the plane. And that's part of why I'm able to do what I do now because I do things that most people won't do. So
Yes.
I always set that out every day when I'm on vacation. I read a little bit. I do my work in the morning. You know, that's what gives me the luxury. People are like, oh, it's like, oh, I want to, you know, like, do you work? I'm like, every fucking day I work.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I
yeah,
don't work like you, but I work
yeah.
every fucking day. I'm working some, you know, like people, I went to like 20 countries last year. People are like, oh, don't you work? I'm like, well, no, I fucking, I get by my great looks, like, of course I fucking work,
Like, how you
it's
know
like
I'm doing this, man? I put my work in, baby.
every day,
You know what I mean?
but I think as more you're learning and the more you're educating yourself, you become more efficient at what you're doing. And
Yes.
it's not about how busy you are. It's about how productive you are.
Mm.
Some people spend too much time being busy and they forget how to be productive.
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
and honestly, being
Wow.
and being busy. I forgot where I read this from. Maybe it was Tim Ferriss. But being busy is a form of laziness, meaning that like you're just simply occupying yourself with tasks and activities that are not necessarily mean that you're being productive. Most of
Right.
the time, you're just distracting yourself from important goals that you should be doing in the first place. You avoid deep thinking and planning that is required to achieve those significant goals.
Yeah.
And you're just doing superficial bullshit. You're doing superficial activities. So it's a big difference between being busy and being productive. And I think at the beginning, as you start creating things, you're busy. Then once you become a little smarter at it, you're like, all right, that's what I'm. One of the things I'm good at. I can be like, there's like 20 tasks I got to do. I'm like, all right, do I really need to do all? Can I combine them? Can I make it easier? How do I get all this shit done like in an hour? And like whatever it is, and I'm productive with my time. I
Mm.
don't like wasting my time.
Yeah.
I have a friend that like he's like I went out to lunch. He took me out to lunch a couple weeks ago. He's like, oh, basically his things like I want to kind of be where you're at. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like let's start on this and give up a business plan. He didn't get the business plan. He didn't get the business plan. It took him. I was like, where's the business plan? I thought you were going to send it to me. He goes, oh, I'm working on my logo. I'm like, no one gives a fuck about your logo, man. Like 2 weeks went by and he couldn't not even get the logo done, but he just wasted. He didn't want to like do a market analysis. He didn't want to do a business plan. He just like, I said, I just want to create this logo. Like, no one gives a shit about your logo if you're not helping them.
Right.
So you're just wasting time. You're being lazy. You're wasting time with superficial bullshit that is not going to help you achieve your goal.
Yeah,
And
bro.
he's like, oh, okay. I'm like, you knew that. You knew that. I just had to tell you that again. You know?
Well, you didn't have to tell him. You had to call his ass out on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like I think that's a key factor of burnout too, is you doing busy work rather than productive work.
Yeah. And
And
then when
figure
you're
out
doing
what
busy
that's
work, you're not motivated.
right.
You
Right.
you're not really motivated. You're like when you like start making connections and you see something grow, it's like then you get excited about it and you're like, oh, I can do one more hour. I can do one more hour. And that's how you keep the discipline. It's like the sprinkling motivation on top of the soil and you see like the crops growing. That's discipline. That creates discipline. Then you're like, all right, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. But if you don't see the crops growing after a while, it's like, man, this farming shit doesn't work. This
Right.
doesn't
Right.
work. You know?
Yo, I mean, listen, I can relate because I've been in that space of just doing busy work because I thought like the
We
stuff that
all have.
was important.
We all
Yeah,
have. That's why I'm
and that's
passionate about it.
yeah, man, dude, that's the learning piece of it, right?
Yeah.
And that's how like I know for me when I've experienced burnout, that's what I had to do. Like, well, it helped to have a coach too.
Mhm.
So that like when I'm in my shit, like how you smack that dude upside the head and be like, bro, nobody gives a shit about your freaking logo. Having a coach be able to be like, all right, listen, well, what are you looking to do? This, and this. Well, why the hell are you doing that?
Mhm.
Like that's a waste of time. Like
Yeah.
do this, do that. And I noticed like as he's guided me and be like, yo, listen, man, are you looking at your projections? Like how like what's your funnel look like? Did you do
Mhm.
follow-up? Do you call these people? Like what okay, what's the numbers for next year? How many people looking to get in? How are you gonna do that? I'm like, God damn with all these questions. Leave
Yeah.
me the fuck alone. But it was like I'm joking, but it was frustrating at the time. Yet I noticed for me, it's really helped me to organize stuff a lot better.
Yeah.
Now, the question I have for you is, for the people that are watching this, or for those that share this with people that are in burnout right now,
Mm-hmm.
you talked about like taking care of the food you take in,
Yeah.
hydration, body care, recovery, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would say to someone that is experiencing that burnout right now-ish?
Yeah. I mean, like, the one thing that I love to do is I love to work with people. I
Yeah.
love to work with people. So if I'm in a burnout situation, I've been there before. And my business is, if you're burnt out, your business will suffer. It will fail. So try to find somebody that can fill those holes in for you. Maybe you bring them on as a business partner. Hey, listen, man, I'm having a real tough time, keeping up with this social media and these emails and making calls and everything like that. Like, I'd rather work on the business. That's what excites me. That brings energy into me. Would you come on as a partial owner, whatever you can figure out numbers yourself, like 50% or whatever it is, and kind of do this. Maybe we'll work together and do something. The main thing I would say though is when you look for somebody, most business partners and most relationships in general, they don't end because of bad communication or lack of communication. It ends because of expectations that weren't met and brought up in the beginning. So like, you need to go into and be like, this is what I exactly need. This is what needs to be done. These are the metrics I need to hit. And if we can't do that, we need to figure out a way to how to like get you out of the picture again. I got to find somebody else. So, and it's sometimes it's a difficult conversation to have. Like, I just had like,
it's real.
What's up?
It's real.
Yeah, no, I just had a buddy of mine who reached out to me, and he's like, I was like, I want to buy a gym. Would you want to go with a business partner? I was like, listen, man, it's like, I have no problem like investing something if the numbers are good, or come on as like a consultant, but I do not want to spend an hour more in that gym a week. Like, I don't, because it's kind of far, and I was like, I don't want to drive there. I don't want to do any shifts there or anything like that. If that's what you're looking for, I'm not the right person for you. If you're looking for a person to consult like online, or the returns are good, I'll be more than happy to work with you. But don't ask me to, if you can't make a shift, I'm not coming in.
Right.
And then crickets. I didn't hear anything, but it's okay. I'm okay with it.
Yep. Because you set the expectations.
Yeah.
You set the expectations.
You have to set clear expectations. But again, if you're like the point I'm getting to is like, if you're burnt out, you're probably doing too many things, and you're probably doing things that you don't like. That's not keeping you motivated. It's not bringing energy in your body. So maybe you find somebody, or you outsource something. Sometimes if you have the capital, you outsource. Maybe you go to Fiverr, you go to Upwork, you go. There's a couple other places. Like I use VAs, virtual assistants in the Philippines. I use them through, it's called 123 Employee. Phenomenal, unbelievable. They're great. I use them more than anything. Or if you don't have the money to shell out right now, because you're starting in your business, you find people. Maybe you find some people in your inner circle, be like, hey, listen, like I know you're good at this, or I know, would you want to do this with me? Whatever, and go from there.
That's so powerful, man. Because what I'm hearing in that is like there's a power in authentic collaboration. And the authentic collaboration is we both know the expectations. We both know what this needs to move forward. And you bring up a great point. I remember my man Michael DeSantis said something. He said, he told me this back in the day. He said, Paul, when you have the opportunity to, he was like, outsource everything but genius. Like outsource, like if you can outsource everything, do it. And you focus solely on your craft. And I think that's what I really appreciate what you said about you probably doing things that you don't enjoy. So find someone to help you out. I think that's a key piece, because one of the things I do see in other entrepreneurs, that's also in me, is the resistance to asking for help.
Yeah.
And being like, and I don't know what it is for everybody else. I know for me, the way for me to get over was to recognize and understand, like I failed to ask people for help because I wanted them to think that I knew it all.
Yeah, and you wanted people to think that you're successful. And it's almost like it's almost like, listen, I've failed so many times. In the beginning, it's embarrassing, man. Like, hey, what happened to that business that you had? Yeah, kind of, didn't work out too well, like, but it's like, but after a while, it's like there's people that are successful, and you realize it's like, I sit down with people that are multimillionaires all the time. I have in my inner circle, and the reason they're successful is because they failed a lot. Like, yeah, I don't want to go down the cliche road, but like, you're failing or you're learning, man. Right? Or you're winning or you're learning. Sorry, you're winning or you're learning.
You're learning,
You know,
man.
and there's nothing. There's not one successful person that hasn't fallen on their face or had a business that crashed and burned. That's cool. It's part of it. I want to, but like, don't get back up and do it again.
That's the learning. Oh
yeah.
Man, what did this guy say? Do I have the pad with me? No, I don't. But I was at this Just Heal, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy had this quote. It was like, what we go through qualifies you, something to that nature.
Mm.
And I was like, damn, bro, because that helped me recognize that everything that I thought was a loss was a learn. Like, and then I got to see things differently and then truly extract the lesson from it. Otherwise, like, I know when I failed to do that, I would repeat the lesson. So it's very interesting, man. This whole concept of really like doing your full-time and the side gig is extremely important.
Yeah. And I think another thing for preventing burnout is to recognize your limitations. So what I mean by that, like saying no to opportunities or commitments that don't align with your priorities. So if your goal is to wake up 2-3 hours every morning early, before the kids get up, before your actual job, and your buddies call you up the night before and be like, hey, let's go grab a couple beers and watch the 8 o'clock football game.
Nope.
Don't do it. Yeah. I don't really drink that much anymore. I used to like drinking, like when I mean like drinking, maybe like twice a week. I would go out and maybe have like 1 or 2 drinks. But now it's like, man, like I'm at a point where I drink like a glass of wine, like my sleep is like fucked up. I don't know what's wrong with me, or I'm just getting old, or like I don't know. But like, man, like I don't even like to drink anymore. Like it just jacks me up for whatever, I don't know. Like all of a sudden, like the last year. So like I don't really drink. I mean, once in a while we'll go out, man. Well, I'll throw a couple back, 2 drinks tops, and that's it. But like, really, I don't go out anymore. I'm in bed right now, like 8:30 and 9 o'clock. I'm in bed. A kid wakes me up now like 5. So like, I don't say no, and I don't do. People ask me all the time, hey, would you want to do this? Want to do this? You're like, no, I don't want to do that. It doesn't align with what I want. I'm not trying to be a dick about it. I just no desire.
No, it's a complete sentence, man. And that's also having the boundaries, knowing the limitations. That's huge, bro.
Yeah. You got to set boundaries.
Got to set boundaries. That's the thing that, and by the way, next time we go out, we're going to both have mocktails.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you on that, bro.
All right.
Need something with freaking some club soda and some fruit. Just goddamn it.
And one more thing that came to my mind too is like with burnout, like if you have negative people in your life or in your inner circle, don't tell them what you're doing.
Oh shit!
Don't tell them what you're doing, because that's just going to bring more negative energy in you, and it's not worth it. So, and as you start becoming more successful, you're going to cut those people out, because you just don't. You're just going to be riding the wave of success, and you're just going to leave everyone else behind. But don't tell people, especially family members, man. A lot of family members, like, I mean, like I'm lucky. Like my mom's school is very supportive and everything like that. But like my sister's school, but like a lot of people have these like family members, like, oh, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, and that's a bad idea, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, just keep your mouth shut, keep your head down. And then when you start succeeding, that's when they're going to be like, oh, man, like, what are you doing? Now they're interested. And now they believe you.
Yeah. Because
but you don't want that extra negative. You don't want that extra gossip. You don't want those people calling and texting you and just like, then you put more pressure on yourself, because if you do fail or something stupid does happen where you take a setback, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, I told you so." Then you're gonna probably feed into that negative energy. Be like, "Yeah, they were probably right. I'm not cut out for this."
I'm
Fuck
so
those
happy
people.
you brought that up, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, that's huge, man, because people, I think there's people that are conscious of it, like those negative folks, like they're like, oh, because something in them is like, oh, he can't do that because what's that going to say about me? And then there's just people, especially like his family, they're just so concerned for you. They don't like I know, well, I guess like my family's been pretty supportive though, but like I know people that like, well, hey man, like I told my family, they was like question like if I should do this and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, why did you tell your family? Like they're always gonna see you as a certain way, so they may not understand. Like and B, you're right, man. Negative people are gonna fail to see the vision, because like for visionaries, and I truly think like people that are entrepreneurial, they see things that most people fail to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just what it is, man. I mean, like I don't make the rules; I just abide by them for now. But like that's what it is that I find, man.
Yeah.
So
I think what makes a good somebody who's one of the things to be a successful entrepreneur, you're gonna have to cut out a lot of the background music, a lot of
yep.
background noise, and you just kind of just believe in yourself. And like for me, it was tough because I always had the mindset I have to work 100 hours a week, or I have to just to get by. And until I started reading more spiritual books and going to seminars and learning a lot, learned a lot from Chek, man. He's guy was amazing. We're all a piece of God. We're all a piece of the universe. Like we're meant to succeed. Like, like, like it, people don't realize that. We have everyone has these certain characteristics, or these unique characteristics that are given to us, and we just gotta get out of our own way. And God, it's the limit. It's the limit, man. We're limitless. We can do anything we possibly can. It's gonna take time. It's gonna be tough. But you got to you got to kind of keep knocking down doors. But use those unique talents that were given you as weapons. Use those to cut through all the bullshit.
Yo, dude, it's funny. I call that the warrior's way. And also, those, because it's like, yo, man, you got to have your tools as you move and act in the world. And like when you talk about the negative people, I call that don't listen to the mumble rap. Because the mumble rap is like, I'm trying to listen in, what did they say?
Yeah.
Then before I know it, I'm tuned into this stuff and I'm starting to mumble now. What? So B, man, dude, this was a gem, bro. And I'm like, I love coming to you as the oracle. So B, any last words before we wrap up with the folks then?
Let's see. Maybe some take homes. Learn how to do before you jump into a business. There's a cool thing out there. It's called Live Plan, and I just did I did do a whole business plan on it. It's you can do either a $20 or $40 one. I did the $40 one, and you basically it'll save you so much time. It's very in depth. It's called Live Plan, and this will really teach you how to do a business plan. And it's awesome. There's a little AI in there too, so they can help you write some stuff out and do market shares and all this other stuff. But learn your market, go through Live Plan. That teach you really how to teach a business plan, which a lot of people, I think that's one of the reasons a lot of businesses fail. They don't understand the business plan. They don't understand the market. So learning that alone, it'll save you a lot of time and it'll save you a lot of money. Try to find people too. It'd be try to find some people that maybe you can. I'm a big person. I like working with people. I like starting businesses with people. I'm not really big on starting. I don't like doing things by myself. I kind of just, the whole camaraderie and just bouncing ideas off other people. Because a lot of things I'm not good at, and I look for that in other people. So finding other people and learn finance. Learn finance. A lot of people are financially illiterate. There's so many cool things out there. I love Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Mark Moss is really cool. I'm watching him. there's so many different people out there. Learn a little bit about finance every single day. And you can, that could be a great side hustle for you in the future. Not even like a passive income, just making, money off other people, like, real estate and interest and stuff like that. So there's so much. I could talk about this all day.
We might have to have a special series on just this.
Yeah.
We might have to, bro, because I think it's like, you and I are talking about having a mastermind at some point in the next year. So I think this is big because part of the mastermind is being around other people that have similar intentions or similar desires.
Yeah.
And then being able to have someone that's going to hold them accountable, have the group hold people accountable. And that's addressing everything that we talked, like majority of things that you talked, like the environment, like the can-do, the beliefs, like figuring things out, like the camaraderie, all that stuff, man. So people, go ahead. You gonna say something?
I'm really looking forward to that entrepreneurial mastermind group that we're going to set next year. I really want to see people succeed, and I want to, because like we talked about earlier on, like you're going to need a plan B eventually. For 90% of the people out there, they're going to need a plan B. And you can work for somebody else, or you can work for yourself, and hopefully that plan B can be your A, B, and C. You don't have to listen to anybody. You don't have to have bosses breathing down your neck. Trust me.
So man. It is. So it is, bro.
Yeah. But reach out, drop a comment if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to answer them back.
And here's something I fail to do every now and then. Put in the email. So listen, you want to highlight, you want to reach out and be like, yo, what's that mastermind you guys are talking about? Well, listen, reach out to us. If there's a topic you're like, you know what, I like how you guys break things down. Can you guys talk about salmon swimming upstream? Maybe. But like, if you have a thought, put it in the email.
That'll be a 30-second episode.
30 seconds. Like, this is how it happens. We're going to put a video
on.
And have a nice day. So, but listen, let us know, man. Like, share, and subscribe. These episodes, they like Brian we talked about this before. They light us up, man. We love doing this, and we love bringing out sources to things that most people or that people rarely talk about in this kind of way. So it's a blessing. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, B.
Appreciate you.
For wisdom, bro.
Hopefully, some people learn something.
Hopefully, what? Child, please. They learning something, man. They learning something. I know I learned some things. I always learn from you, man. So
appreciate you,
Brian. Thank you, bro.
Absolutely.
People, we're out of here. Peace. And love. That's what my dad used to say. Peace and love. Peace and love, everybody.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.